Henry Gunther died at 10:59 a.m. on November 11, 1918, just 1 minute before the armistice that would end World War I came into effect. 2 minutes before he could have started his journey back home, why did his life have to end instead? At 10:50 a.m., Henry Gunther was desperate. As he marched down the road with his squad, the thought burned dark red in his head. True, he had not wished to join the army when America joined the war, and true, he had sent that letter urging his friend not to enlist, but he had never thought the censors would see it, or that he'd be demoted as a result. He had arrived in France a sergeant, and he would be going home a private. His fiancée had broken up with him after learning the news. He knew that when he showed his face at his old job, they would spit on him and laugh him out. He was a member of the 313th Infantry, Baltimore's own, and soon the whole city would know his shame. The war was set to end at the 11th hour of the day, and it was already 10 minutes till. And once the war ended, it would be too late. He had to earn back his rank. He needed to show the country and the woman he wanted to marry that Mrs. Gunther had not raised a coward, and he had to do it now. As he trudged down the dirt road, his pack heavy on his back and the weather foggy but not too cold, he kept his eyes open, and when the squad sighted the German roadblock, complete with machine guns and iron-hatted soldiers, hope blazed bright for Henry. The rest of the squad hit the dirt. Nobody on either side wanted to die just before the peace. But Henry only crouched and pulled his bayonet out of its sheath. Sergeant Powell saw what his friend intended and shouted an order to stop. Henry didn't listen. He fixed his bayonet, pointed his rifle at the enemy, and charged down the dusty path. But what could Henry have been thinking as he ran towards the German machine guns? Maybe he was just obsessed with proving his courage after being demoted, as some of his squadmates later claimed. Maybe, because of his German heritage, he wanted to erase all doubts about German Americans and prove his allegiance to the USA. Maybe he suffered a mental breakdown from all he had seen during 2 months of intense trench warfare. As he shouted out and ran, the German soldiers tried to warn him. There was no reason for this crazy American to die. There was only 1 minute left before peace now, for God's sake. Even as rounds from Henry's rifle zipped overhead, they tried to wave him away. But when he got too close, when he made it clear that it was them or him, they fired a short burst of automatic fire, and Henry was killed instantly. If his motivation was to restore his reputation, the fatal tactic worked. The Army posthumously restored Gunther to the rank of sergeant, awarded him the Distinguished Service Cross, and he is fittingly buried in the Most Holy Redeemer Cemetery in Baltimore. Henry Gunther is considered the last of the more than 10 million soldiers of all nations to die in the war.